Hey, no long intro. Charles Bukowski.
I'm such a spoiled old toad, Jesus Christ. I should complain. 2 acres in the driveway, a swimming pool. I'm bitching like an old... Oh, well. Yeah, they say I'm good with dialogue. I've lived a lot, I've heard enough fucking conversations, I ought to be. I was blessed with a crappy life, that's all. Crappy life to write about. A lot of writers that get famous when they're 22, 23, and then they're in the literary world, they're going to cocktail parties, and nothing's happening but that. So they miss out on the manure pile. I was always lucky in landing jobs. There'd be 10 guys in the sitting room, they'd take me for some damn reason. I finally figured out the reason. They figured out I was dumb, too dumb to steal, so they took me. Cheers. I just don't love my stuff that much. You know what I'm interested in? What I'm going to type tomorrow night. That's all that interests me. The next poem, the next fucking line. What's past is past. I don't want to linger over it and read it and play with it and jolly it up. It's gone. It's done. If you can't write the next line, well, you're dead. The past doesn't matter.
And you're still writing every night, right?
Not every night. 3 or 4 out of 7. And if I don't get those in, I don't act right. I feel sick. I get very depressed. It's a release. It's a release. It's my psychiatrist letting this shit out. So it's lucky I get paid for it. I'd do it for nothing. In fact, I'd pay to do it. Here, I'll give you $10,000 a year if you'll let me write.
But for years, you weren't paid to write.
No, hell no.
I mean, how long? You worked at the post office 15, 18 years.
No, I quit at the age of 50, yeah. As I was leaving the last night, the guy said, that old man's got to be crazy quitting a good job like this. I walked out of that building, and I thought, Jesus, maybe they're right. But I didn't give a damn. I was ready to go down to Skid Row. I was tired of it all.
Speaking of Skid Row, have you guys seen the Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel? It started as a photographer who has a studio down in Skid Row, and he takes portrait-style photos and then interviews of people that he meets along the way there. And I reckon it's in an attempt to shine a light on the forgotten in society. But if you haven't seen it, it is enthralling. He actually often raises money for some of the people interviewed. I'll link you that channel down below. Sometimes I can't finish a whole episode because it just shocks me, to say the least. If you've ever seen it, leave your thoughts down below.
Screw it. I think my writing is really pretty fucking powerful stuff. But I think after I'm dead and safe, they're going to trot me out. I'm going to really be discovered, you know. Bukowski, it's going to be sickening. But right now, I like it this way, kind of quiet. And, I don't know what I am. I'm going to the bathroom.
After I'm dead and safe, he said, then we'll appreciate Bukowski. He ended up dying in 1994. This interview aired in 1993. His books and name are famous, as is the main character from some of his novels called Chinaski. And actually, I'd never read Bukowski before I went to a bar called Chinaski, so... Orson Welles actually also commented that he thought he wouldn't be loved until he was dead, which is an interesting concept that we see play out often with musicians, authors, etc., that essentially become more famous after they die. Van Gogh, Edgar Allan Poe, Galileo, El Greco. Can you think of anyone else who became more famous after they died? Anyway, I'm loving this channel, blank on blank. It was a subscriber request. And for someone who typically doesn't like animations outside of a rare anime series, I didn't mind it here one bit. It served to enhance the interview for me. And I do have other interviews on the channel as well, from Kurt Cobain to Jim Morrison, Tupac, Aldous Huxley. It's worth checking out. Now this one was entitled Crappy Life, and he made a point that I quite agree with. When someone finds success quite young, they may just live off of the fumes of that success going forward, and subsequently have less to write about, because life becomes just that, successful. And sure, we can say, well, you have experiences to write about that you wouldn't have otherwise, but they might not be very relatable. But when you live life searching and collecting crappy experiences, sometimes you have more to say that resonates with the common reader or person. Personally, some of the most interesting people in my life didn't know what they wanted to do at 20 and still don't know what they want to do at 50. And for Bukowski, as he spoke about here, maybe leaving the job at the post office was a big risk. But sometimes I think it might be riskier to stay in one place than it is to move. You'll have to let me know what you think about that. Now for today's literary recommendation, he speaks about this whole ordeal in a book called Post Office. But if you want to get into Bukowski novels, I recommend Factotum first. It is semi-autobiographical and follows the story of what happens before he gets to the post office. And it's essentially a story about an author in the 1940s who does what he has to make ends meet while also dealing with depression and unemployment and possible alcoholism. There are a lot of good one-liners in that one. And for those who don't like reading, there's a movie adaptation from, I believe, 2006. Matt Dillon's in it. If you want an audiobook, I'll link you a free one from here in YouTube that you can listen to. He also has a short story book that has a pretty good title, Erections, Ejaculations, Exhibitions, and General Tales of Ordinary Madness. That was written back in '72. If you're already a Bukowski fan, let me know which novel of his is your favorite. And that's all from me. So let me know what you think about any of this. And as always, thank you for watching with me. Preview.